Hi, so for my essay this week, I made a presentation on gender norms. What are gender norms? So they are behaviors that are deemed socially acceptable regarding how men and women should act, and they are learned typically at a very young age, usually in the family, and they vary from culture to culture. And like I said, they are typically learned first in the family through like observing a mother figure, a father figure, and then they're also learned in school, through peers, through the media. Um, and like I said, children learn about gender norms at a young age, and this can significantly limit their ability to express their gender as they grow up. So how are gender norms learned? So they're learned from a young age from observing adults around them. Gender roles that are learned in the family are enforced in schools and in peer groups, and children may face bullying and harassment if they do not conform to typical gender norms, which further enforces them. And the media also enforces gender norms through television, books, music, and movies. So what does it mean to be a man or a woman? So society typically defines being a man as being strong, assertive, bold, dominant, and like thinking very rationally, while society defines being a woman as being emotional, nurturing, caring, compassionate, and vulnerable. These are like the most common gender norms for men and women. So why are these ideas harmful? So all of these traits are merely gender stereotypes for men and women, and they force both men and women into certain roles, and they are punished when they don't conform. For example, women who are assertive and successful, like particularly in the workplace, are considered bossy, and men who are in touch with their emotions are usually considered weak. And forcing these stereotypes onto young children simply inhibits their ability to express themselves and explore their gender identity. So what do I think it means to be a woman? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. It's completely subjective to one's personal experience. Being a woman is embracing your femininity unapologetically, how you define it, and it varies from person to person. Everybody has the right to explore their gender identity. What it means to be a woman or to be a man is not set in stone. And in my experience, I've struggled with my womanhood under the male gaze because from a young age, me and a lot of other women I know, like we were conditioned to believe that we were only desirable if we were appealing to men, both externally through our appearance and internally through the way that we act, the way we present ourselves, the way that we carry ourselves in school and work and everything. So yeah, that's definitely been a struggle in my life. So regarding the male gaze and womanhood, everyone has a desire to be accepted for who they are, but for many women, including myself, who we are does not seem to be accepted by society. The male gaze is something I've struggled with all my life. Women are expected to be appealing to men by conforming to gender norms, by looking a certain way, by acting a certain way. And if women do not conform to that, they're not deemed desirable by men and also by other women. The need for male validation can be crippling, and many women are seen as disappointments if they don't receive it. Um, like I said, women can conform to gender norms both externally and internally. So, like being thin, having long hair, wearing makeup, and then like being soft-spoken, nurturing, emotional. And women who do not conform to these gender norms are seen as anomalies and do not receive the male validation we have been conditioned to crave since childhood. Um, so I wanted to talk a bit about the TV show Euphoria. It's a teen drama on HBO that tackles many issues like drug abuse, sexuality, and gender. One of my favorite characters in the show is played by Hunter Schafer, who is a trans woman who plays a teenager named Jules, who experiences many real struggles with femininity. And she has a lot of really good storylines about femininity, gender norms, and what it means to be a woman throughout the show. So in season one, when we first meet Jules, so her appearance definitely enforces like societal gender norms. Like she has long hair, she wears pink and pastels. She's always wearing makeup, and it's usually bright and very feminine. And late in the season, she has a conversation with a friend about like her transition to being a woman and what it means to her to be feminine. So she says that in her personal journey, she started with clothes and makeup, and then like started to move into hormones. And Jules is a character who has like a lot of one night stands with men, and she says a line regarding that and says, "If I can conquer men, then I can conquer femininity." Um, Basically, like defining her womanhood by like being accepted by men and like conquering men. Okay, so then Jules has a special episode in the show, which was actually co-written by Hunter Schafer, which makes it even more special because she was able to like bring a lot of her own issues regarding femininity into the show. So she talks about in her journey to conquer femininity, she believes that it's conquered her and how she has based her experience as a woman on men. And in this episode, Jules continues to say that she's no longer interested in men, which is a huge step in her journey as a woman. It's definitely a turning point. And then in season 2, Jules appears to like internalize her womanhood instead of just dressing to satisfy gender norms. Like she now knows that she is a woman and she doesn't need to be physically appealing to men to prove that to people and prove that to herself. Like her hair is shorter, she wears more androgynous clothing, her makeup isn't as bright. So this demonstrates two things. A person can have a valid experience as a man or as a woman without conforming to gender norms, and external appearance does not dictate gender. So conforming to gender norms externally, like through somebody's appearance, the way they dress, the way they do their makeup, the way they do their hair, this does not dictate their gender identity. So what message does this send? So in my opinion, the character of Jules portrays many of these struggles associated with womanhood in a very accurate way. So in my experience, myself and many people I know have conformed to gender norms for the sole purpose of male validation. From a young age, girls are taught that they are more desirable to men if they are conventionally feminine, and we begin to crave this validation and thrive in the presence of it. And we only feel like valid as women when we have that validation. So this causes young girls to believe that they need to appear more feminine and like conform to societal gender norms, like being thin, looking youthful, wearing makeup. And Jules portrays this struggle very well. And I have not experienced a lot of the same struggles that Jules has because I am a cis woman, I am not a trans woman, but I really appreciated her storyline because the struggle for male validation and appealing desirable as a woman is very crippling and is an experience that many people have, like the balance of being a woman, well, like for yourself and not for the validation from men. So how do I relate to Jules? I've struggled with gender norms throughout my whole life, not feeling like a woman because of the way that I dress, the way I present myself, and feeling like an anomaly because of activities I participated in, especially in middle school and high school. I was interested in like a lot of male dominated activities, like I was on the academic team, things like that. And I definitely felt very, very out of place. I felt like I didn't belong because of that. And Jules' line about conquering men in order to conquer femininity really spoke to me. For a lot of my life, I felt like I will only be a woman when I receive a certain level of male validation, and that is not true. Being a woman has nothing to do with men. Gender norms are social constructs, and conforming or not conforming doesn't make anyone more or less of a woman. Womanhood is a personal journey for everyone. It's different for everybody, and it's about being unapologetic about who you are and embracing femininity however you see fit. In whatever way you want to. So closing thoughts, gender norms typically do more harm than good. They enforce harmful stereotypes, and those who do not conform face negative consequences, which is not fair because exploring your gender identity is something that is very, very integral to one's life. And children shouldn't be punished for exploring their masculinity or exploring their femininity however they want to, how they want to dress, what activities they want to do. And while I still have a long way to go in my journey as a woman, I've come so far since I stopped relying on male validation. I feel like gender norms are very, very harmful, particularly for young girls. They are very harmful for young boys as well, but I just wanted to talk about gender norms with young girls because that's what I've experienced. When you do not conform to those, you basically feel like you aren't desirable, like you aren't worthy of validation, of attention, of love. Which is not true. It's you can embrace being a woman and you can embrace being feminine however you see fit. And that doesn't necessarily have to be through gender norms. There's some sources, and yeah, that's all.